Today's common thread, we're still in a trust recession, and truly, only the authentic are going to survive it. Hello, and welcome back to the Freelance Friday podcast. Today, I thought we'd try something a little bit different, but slightly familiar, hopefully. When I think about the places where I get my updates and news and what's going on in the world of social media marketing, content creation, online business, freelancing, I usually go one of two places, either Reddit, you guys know I love Reddit, or Threads. And there was a lot this month coming out of Threads, so I thought I would curate my 5 top stories from Threads and see if we could make an analysis, find a common thread, find a greater internet culture moment and theme out of it. And I think maybe we have, so let's dive in. The first thing that has come up is this big Apple Podcast news. Apple Podcast is now supporting, or will be very soon, supporting videos as well. This is following suit with competitors like Spotify, which has had video for quite some time now, actually. Apple's a little behind the game. Their newsroom says that there is a transformative update coming to Apple Podcasts this spring that will bring advanced video podcast capabilities to the app. And what I really want to talk about right now is sort of this cultural shift towards video podcasting. It's also important to note that Netflix has recently signed podcasters. Yes, we've definitely talked over the years about YouTube looking to expand their podcasting capabilities and bring more podcasters onto the app. So this isn't just a piece of Apple news. This isn't just a piece of Netflix news. This is a big cultural shift towards video podcasting. And it's interesting. I just got back from PodFest, my first ever podcast specific conference. I spoke there with my friends Metricool. And it's really interesting. I feel like there is this pretty stark divide between like the old school and the new school. You know, people who are very adamant that a podcast is not a podcast unless it's audio. And like the audio is what makes it a podcast. And then there's kind of the new school that kind of sees content as almost being platform agnostic. It's like, I just want to make a show. I don't know. I'm going to put it out wherever. And, you know, I really hate to be this person because I can sometimes be tech averse. I'm like a creature of comfort. I don't always like change. But, you know, I do think if you are looking to start a podcast today and you are not incorporating video into it, I mean, I think you're missing a lot of opportunity. I do think that podcasting is sort of like the last frontier in a lot of ways of low lift content, you know, more accessible content to a lot of people. And I do think that the audio podcast still is a thing. Even Apple is saying that there is an easy way to toggle between video and audio. Same for Spotify. You don't have to watch the videos. I probably only watch videos on Spotify like 20% of the time. Most of the time I'm listening when I'm trying to fall asleep. So there is still that audience. And I just think, like anything in marketing, it's important to know your audience. And also, if you have an existing show that's been audio only for years and years and years, and you've developed this loyal following, just keep doing what you're doing. Like, don't let this freak you out. But if you are starting a new podcast in the year 2026, I think you should just pop up your iPhone and a tripod, if nothing else. I've got so many helpful resources on how to get started with video. It doesn't have to be perfect or beautiful or complex. I think one of my favorite examples is Liz Plank's Boy Problems show. She records it in her bed. She doesn't have a studio. She maybe has one professional camera, but I know she uses at least an iPhone for her second shot. I think there are so many great examples of just super DIY video that still makes you feel more connected to the podcaster. And that's kind of the theme of this, right? Authenticity, connection, I think is where people are headed, where people's heads are at.
Sorry to interrupt, but if you're a social media manager and your portfolio isn't consistently bringing in client leads and inquiries, I want you on my premium portfolio intensive. I'm hosting this free event where I'll show you exactly how to position your work so it attracts higher quality, higher paying clients without needing a ton more followers, because we all know those are hard to get these days. You'll learn what to include, what to remove, how to structure case studies, and basically just how to turn your portfolio into a client closing machine. You'll also get a portfolio audit checklist. You'll get access to the replay for 30 days, and there's going to be a live Q&A session with me. Don't miss it. Totally free. Link in the show notes. See you there.
To get really authentic, this was a big thread that was popping up. I actually got the email the night that it went out. And okay, how do I even wrap my head around explaining this? Okay, so I was on an email list for a service called FYPM. It stands for FU Pay Me. And it's essentially advocacy for content creators. It's supposed to promote transparency about rates that content creators can charge for their services, for sponsorships, to, promote better income for all. And I've actually never paid for the service. Ironic, if you pay me, never paid for it. But I've signed up maybe for, I don't know, I was on their email list somehow. And I got this email one night around Valentine's Day. And the subject line was, saw your name in the files. The person who, you guys know who I'm talking about, the Epstein files. I clicked on it. I obviously knew my name was not in that, or hoped. Gosh, that would be horrific. It's a very serious thing, right? I knew it was a marketer trying to get my clicks. And I knew before I even looked at the content of the email, I didn't care who it was. I was unsubscribing from that list. I just don't think that's appropriate. I opened the email to see, just kidding, we're having a Valentine's Day sale. I saw someone use this subject on Threads and wanted to see if it worked. I guess it did. Anyway, use code LOVE by Valentine's Day to subscribe and get a month free. So I unsubscribed quietly. I didn't really, post about it, or I don't know. I just was like, that was inappropriate and weird. And apparently I was not the only one who thought so. I got on Threads the next day, and boy, were people a-chatting about it. I want to highlight this thread by Legal Miga, who really broke it down from a business perspective, because I don't want to shame the business owner behind this. She did make a video and she kind of doubled down for a bit, and then it sounds like she was looking for crisis management support. And I really hope this is a learning lesson for her. I don't want to hammer into her personally. I just want to talk about what it means for us. And obviously, I really hope nobody listening to this podcast is using that subject line or thinking about doing something like that. That is a very extreme example. But there are micro versions of this that happen all the time, and that we should all be aware of, how serious it is. So again, to Legal Miga's thread, she said, number one, subject lines can't be deceptive. Under the Can Spam Act, aka email law, your subject line has to reflect what's actually inside the email. So yes, this email was implying, according to this thread, that, we were in a criminal file. I mean, that's a very serious thing that anybody's going to click on and open and inflate an open rate when that's not at all what she's talking about. So that is not allowed. And technically speaking, I think, is finable. It's a finable offense. She also goes on to say emotional manipulation is risky. Brand wise, you just told on yourself. And let's talk about that, from a branding perspective. We, I think, have gotten really used to these sassy, snarky, sarcastic brands. And I think even in the business owner's response, there was that initial haha, LOL, stay mad about it kind of defensiveness that I think would be okay, or at least we would forgive it. We would be used to it if it was Wendy's changed the recipe of their chicken nuggets. I don't know. Something that doesn't really harm anybody. Well, except for the chickens, go vegan, it's non-offensive. This is something that I think we still have a limit for where we're able to take the snark in marketing. There's still a line between what we can joke about and what is just deeply serious. And I'm not wishing on anybody's downfall, okay, here, but I am glad that I wasn't the only one who just found it wildly inappropriate. And I'm glad that as a culture, as a society, we still are able to say, this is not a joking matter. And you shouldn't be selling your stuff on the backs of people who have been deeply harmed. So, what we can learn from this is all clicks are not worth it. I always say this. I always say, I know the recipe, I just don't want to use it. Right. And I say that about like far less offensive things. I mean, I don't want to use this internet marketer. Oh, here's how to make $1 million in a day. Here's how to film an entire month's worth of content in 1 hour. Like, I know that I could get clicks. I know that I could generate buzz and an audience for myself if I did that, but it just doesn't feel authentic. It just doesn't, it feels a little deceptive if we're being honest. So I think this FYPM example is a very dramatic example of that. But keep in mind that those things that were laid out by Legal Amiga apply to if I lied and said, I just made $1 million in 1 second and sent that as my email subject and said, LOL, just kidding, but here's how to earn 1,000. That is still an offense. That still goes against the Can Spam Act, and we've got to be aware of that. Here's a little fun break. Let's go back to the beginning, shall we? Everyone's favorite, at least if you're a millennial like me. Okay, I grew up on Lizzie McGuire. Can you guys believe that Lizzie McGuire was only 2 seasons long? I felt like that show lasted my entire, I guess middle school, which was only 2 years back in those days, at least. Anyway, Hilary Duff raised women my age, okay? And she is back with new music. For the first time in a decade, she's going on tour. She's releasing a new album. I actually signed up for pre-sale tickets for a couple of different dates. I was at the doctor, I was doing things, and by the time I got online, I saw everybody on Threads was like, oh my gosh, tickets are so expensive, they're sold out. Ticketmaster, we know Ticketmaster does its thing. And so I don't think I'm going. But if anyone has the plug, please let me know. I would love to go. We could have a separate conversation about Ticketmaster probably because they are very inauthentic and we do not trust them. They're a part of the trust recession. Absolutely. But what I want to talk about is Hilary Duff, actually, and her role in nostalgia, right? Nostalgia marketing is such a brilliant marketing move. If I'm being honest, those of us who grew up on shows like Lizzie McGuire or another big nostalgia marketing brand, I guess that has come up in the past few years is the Laguna Beach folks, right? I follow Kristen Cavallari's podcast now. She did a rewatch with Stephen Coletti. It's a strategy. It's a thing because those of us who grew up on this content, well, we're adults now and we are decision makers, financial decision makers. We have money to spend on concert tickets, on lifestyle items, on experiences. But here's the thing, nostalgia marketing doesn't always work just because it's nostalgic. If it's not good, it's still not going to land. We can point to many examples of podcasts, rewatch podcasts, and merch and things that just didn't work because the stars didn't align, let's just say. Actually, a few years ago, there were plans to bring back the Lizzie McGuire show as a reboot. I think all of us collectively just lost it, especially when those first production pictures came out. But production was shut down after filming just a couple of episodes. Hilary Duff wanted to explore deeper, more mature themes, and it seems like they wanted to keep it super, super family friendly. So they shut the production down. So she does it right. She takes her time. She does it right. She appreciates the craft and has respect for the stories she's telling. But I think the other cool thing about Hilary is she really embraces her journey. I watched an interview with her with, some magazine or something, and she was talking about her daughter discovering her music and wanting to play it in the car. And Hilary kind of at first being embarrassed by it and then realizing wait, no, some of this is kind of a bop. It's good. And I think this is really refreshing. I see this so much with YouTubers that I watch. They're like, ugh, my old stuff is so embarrassing. It's so cringe. And it's like, if you're cringe, then what am I? I think it's really nice to not have our memories or our nostalgia reduced down to something embarrassing or cringy. It's okay to just celebrate having fun and doing these silly dances, that has become a meme for Hilary as well. So nostalgia marketing, do it, but only if it's done right. Okay, this thread came out about Voyage Publishing. This person said, so when are we going to admit that Voyage Insert City is not a real publication or flex? And I'm really glad somebody called this out. I thought I was losing my mind. We've all seen it, right? I'm sure there's like a Voyage San Francisco, Voyage Detroit, Voyage Boston. I don't know. It's basically just an online like website that will interview you. Have I done one? I know they've reached out to me before. I'll have to Google and see if I'm actually on there anywhere. But they basically send you a list of questions to be interviewed, and you send them back and they publish it. They publish your name and a picture and the interview. What I notice is there's very little editing. I don't know if they have editors at all. I'd be really curious to know, like, does anybody know what happens behind the scenes at Voyage? Please tell me, because it doesn't seem like there's really an editor. They pretty much just copy and paste. And it seems like Threads users were kind of divided on this post. And honestly, I kind of am too, because I do think it's a little weird. I think maybe they need to hire an editor. I think basically they're getting a lot of information, getting your name so that they can drive traffic to their website, which I'm sure is monetized through ads. Because, when you're interviewed for a publication, you're going to share it on your Facebook, your Instagram, wherever. You're going to share it with your friends and everyone's going to click and then they're going to get ad revenue. But I also think it's fine to say, this is a first press, opportunity for me. This is a foot in the door. This is something to come up on Google to make my business look a little bit more legitimate and real. And that's what a lot of people are arguing on Threads is like, hey, know the lane, right? Like, know that this is not the same as being interviewed by the New York Times or anything like that, but it can be a good stepping stone and it can be a good thing, if you let it be. So I'm curious your thoughts on it. Is it a scam, or is it just a good entry point for business owners to start getting used to being interviewed and getting press and getting links back to their website? And then lastly, I wanted to I'll actually share the links to all of these threads down in the show notes to give these creators credit. And I will especially link this State of Online Business report that Jess Creatives put together. So I had noticed that she had been recruiting and asking people to submit and fill out this survey to get some real numbers. I'm not going to go through all of the data because I'd like you to go to her website and check it out. Let her know that I sent you if you do. I'll just share a couple of highlights. It looks like she ended up getting 475 online business owners to respond to her survey, primarily from the United States, about 71%. It looks like the majority of online business owners who responded were one-on-one done-for-you service providers. This is a cool little metric. 20 to 30 hours is what the majority of respondents worked. 38% of people who were surveyed worked that much. Some worked even less. A little bit worked more, but very few worked more than 40 hours a week. And I think that is really validating and encouraging to read, because when we get down to the financials, I gotta say, I've got some questions and I've got maybe some, maybe it's a little discouraging in some areas. Again, you can check it out for yourself. But what is encouraging is the hours. There are very few other jobs where you can earn a full-time income, where you can have total creative control over what you do, where you can do something that hopefully you like at least a little bit and still say, yeah, I work 20 to 30 hours a week. That really reaffirmed my love for freelancing. And I think no matter how much money you make, that is just one of the best things about it, truly. The majority of people surveyed made between $50,000 and $100,000 a year. And this is the part that I said was scary. 35% of people said that their take-home pay was less than $20,000. So most people are making 50 to 100,000, respectable, right? That's comparable to most like corporate salaries, at least in my field, like marketing. But they were making less than $20,000 of their actual paycheck. And I have got to plug my accountant's book. It's called Profit Pillars. You guys, I think this is such a great resource if you're looking to be more profitable, because that really should be the number one metric when we're talking numbers. I mean, obviously happiness, contentment, mental health, all that should be number one. But like from a business perspective, profit should really be what you're looking at. Camera one just went out, the memory card. So I'm just going to finish up here if that's okay. I wanted to say really quickly that I watched a YouTube video from another creator who was making millions of dollars, I believe, or at least $1 million. And she said that she was in the negative last year. She actually spent more money than she made last year. And there is no shame in that. I really appreciate the income transparency. I think it's so helpful for everybody to hear. But like, that's not a sustainable business model. It's not sustainable to make more money than you're spending. And it seems like this is a trend for a lot of online business owners. So I am a big believer in building lean. I made a video about why I'm mostly a team of one. And some people, argued me about that and said, you could be more productive and blah, 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 blah. And they're probably right to an extent, but also, knock on wood, I'm still profitable, even though my revenue has gone down year over year. I've talked about that at length about why, well, some of it's just the economy, some of it's personal. Even still, I'm still profitable. I'm still not spending more money than I'm actually making. So just a word to the wise, I'm going to shout out my accountant's book, Profit Pillars. It's a good place to start if you are in this category. And also, no shame. I just want to be clear. I'm not shaming anyone. I just thought it was really interesting and kind of shocking to see. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And that's it for our first episode of Common Threads. Let me know what you think of these stories, if you have questions about them, or if you want me to continue doing this, popping in every once in a while with some updates like this. I appreciate you watching, listening. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and yes, please do leave me a comment. I greatly appreciate them. I read them all. And I think that's it for now. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.